First of all, can I thank you very much for agreeing to be a practice educator in conjunction with the Early Childhood Studies Degree Network Graduate Practitioner Competencies framework. You are receiving this video because you have agreed to take on one of our students as part of their placement hours. Each student has to complete 80 days working with children hours for the age ranges of 0 to 8. They might be at your setting for 0 to 2, 3 to 5, or 5 to 7, depending on their evidence, depending on where they already work, either full-time or part-time, and what evidence they need to gather for that specific age range. I am going to go through the appendices that are included in the document that I will have already sent you. The most important one is Appendix 1, and it is the Health and Safety Insurance Liability Letter. Now that needs to be completed alongside the student. You've both got to sign it before the student starts their official placement allocation with you. Also, Appendix 2 is Student Permission Letter, and that also has to be completed to ensure that the student that is at your placement is following your confidentiality policy and the ethical policy of Warwick University, not sharing information that parents or children might find harmful. Appendix 3 is the setting induction form. And again, that has to be completed once the student plans the date with you to meet with you. The induction form is completed before the student starts the official block placement. That is signed off by yourself and the student, and it is emailed back to us at Warwick University. The student will know who to email it to. That isn't something that you need to do. So I'm going to go through the other appendices that are included in the document that has been sent to you. I do hope you've found time to read it through, and if you've got any concerns or any queries, please do not hesitate to email me, maggie.crowley@warwick.ac.uk. Thank you. So once the student starts with you, they are going to start completing Appendix 4. It is something that they should share with you at regular intervals, but only if you are free to do so. We want our students to be extremely proactive and organised at the setting. They are working towards a level 6 qualification. So as you can imagine, we want their manner to be professional and supporting of the team, and not suddenly request your signature on something or ask you to do something quite quickly, because all of the evidence is their responsibility to gather. So Appendix 4, the Work Placement Report, is an ongoing report that just helps the students see if they are meeting the competencies that I'm going to go through in a small while over the period of time that they are with you. It is also an opportunity for you as the practice educator, or some people like to be called the mentor, to fill out whether their practice is excellent, very good, good, satisfactory, or unsatisfactory. Please do not be shy or hesitant to fill those columns out correctly. I am going to go through later on with you how you might be able to raise a concern if you feel that our student is professionally not meeting the competencies at the level that you would assume they should be at. So, Appendix 5. It is the Practice Educator's Observation in Practice, or OIP. Again, this is quite a lengthy document that outlines exactly what needs to be completed between yourself and the student. The observations are planned by the student in agreement with you, but you sit alongside them and you observe their practice. Now, over the space of a placement, it might be that you've got to do 2 or 3 of these observations, and there will also be in conjunction with a planned activity that the student has already shown you the activity plan for on your own settings paper work, and a time and a date that suits you to carry out this observation of the activity. So that Appendix 5 is extremely important. It leads on to Appendix 6, which is the Student Competency Evidence Report. Now, this document is uploaded onto the student's Warwick University e-portfolio, and it is a upload that they do by themselves once they feel they have met a competency. So you will see that there is a column for student evidence, so that's up to them to write in that column what type of evidence they have gathered, be it an observation, a planned activity, a witness statement, or a professional discussion, or maybe the knowledge has been acquired from one of their modules back at Warwick University. And it gives an opportunity then in the final column for you as the practice educator to write a comment. Again, you're just signing off the competencies. It is up to the student to identify the competency that needs to be done, how they are going to match it, meet it, and how they are going to present that evidence then to be signed off confidently in the placement that they're at with yourself. Any queries again about the competencies, please do not hesitate to email me. You will be able to find my contact details on the first page of contacts. I won't mind any queries, anything at all. Please don't hesitate to come to me. We want to make sure that our placement practice educators are happy and confident with the student that has applied to do their competencies with them. And we also understand that this is quite a new framework that has only recently been introduced. It was only piloted in 2018, and we are still spreading the word about how to upskill students and practitioners who work in the early childhood sector. So competency 1, I will just go through them that are on the Student Competency Evidence Report. Competency 1, advocating for children's rights and participation. Competency 2, promoting holistic child development. Competency 3, working directly with young children, families and colleagues to promote health, well-being, safety and nurturing care. Competency 4, observe, listen and plan for young children to support their well-being, early learning, progression and transitions. Competency 5, safeguarding and child protection. Competency 6, inclusive practice. Competency 7, partnership with parents and caregivers. Competency 8, collaborating with others. And finally, competency 9, professional development. In your pack, you will find Appendix 7, which is one of the types of documents that the students can evidence their competencies against, which is called a witness statement. And this again is completed by the student, and it is when a spontaneous incident occurs within your setting that they know they can log against an outstanding graduate practitioner competency point. They fill it out, but of course as a witness, you sign it. Appendix 8, another document that the student can use to gather evidence, is called a professional discussion. Appendix 8A is the planning form, so they have to plan this professional discussion with you. They have to write down the criteria that they wish to cover and give it a time element. So how long will it take for the professional discussion to take place? Will it be noted by Word document, or are they going to record it? That's absolutely fine if you agree to an audio. And then Appendix 8B is the actual professional discussion form that needs to be completed again by the student, but obviously you sign it off as truth and You give a date and a time of the actual evidence that was discussed and whether you agreed with it. So, going back to your role as a practice educator, you are the pivotal person in our students' academic journey, linking what they have learned from us at the university and applying it to practice in your setting. So as a higher education institute, we are required by ECSDN to do 2 visits to your placement. One will be a first visit, and that is when it's a collaborative approach. Either myself or another tutor, and you, the practice educator, and the student, the 3 of us walk around and have what's called an environmental journey around the setting, with the student pointing out places of interest, or perhaps discussing the child study that they have to complete, or perhaps looking at the competencies and showing us how confident they are in either the indoor or the outdoor area, or the emotional area of the child or the children in the setting. Pretty much up to the student to design that visit, with us going along with that student, sharing the experience and ticking off any competencies that they think they might have covered. It is also, as I've just said, an opportunity for the student to identify and discuss the child that they are choosing for their child study. Every student has to do a child study for their graduate practitioner competencies. They have to do another one in another setting if it's not feasible at yours, for a child that might have a special educational need. But at your setting, they will definitely do at least one child study covering the age range that they are at your setting to complete. So Appendix 9 is a copy of the first visit of the HEI, and then Appendix 10 is a visit that might be intermediate. That might be when the student might be struggling or not performing, or you feel that you want us to drop in and do another visit. You want support. That is an intermediate visit, and we're very happy to do that with you. Please don't work on this solely on your own if you've got any concerns. And then Appendix 11 is our final visit report. So that should be the mopping up, dare I say. I'm not sure if that's the correct term, but that's when the student is coming to the end of the placement with you. They have gathered the evidence that they need through observations, planned activities, witness statements, professional discussions, etc. And we are visiting them to sign them off as competent to leave your placement and perhaps go on to another one. They might have to do another age range at another placement, or they might be returning later on in the future when they have another allocation of hours to complete their evidence. So Appendix 11, final visit report by the HEI. So that leads us on to Appendix 12, which I mentioned earlier, the student concern form. Now it might be, and I would hope it would be a very rare occurrence, that a student of ours attends your placement but doesn't act in a professional manner. So it could be a number of reasons. It could be continually late, or rude to staff, or not engaging with the children in a child-led way. Something that you've noticed and observed and you're concerned about, anything at all. We do not want students passing the graduate practitioner competencies at level 6 with a level 3 embedded fitness to practice if they haven't met that level of competency from your point of view. You are pivotal in that decision making. So this form is to be completed. If it is raised by you, there is a box for you to tick. The area of competency that you think the concern is linked to, give a brief outline of the concern, and then email it to me at maggie.crowley@warwick.ac.uk. It will be dealt with completely confidentially, and if needed, a three-way meeting will be held between the HEI tutor, the student and myself present. We will come to a resolution. Hopefully we can support the student going forward with some actions for them to improve on. So they may be at your placement longer than they anticipated, but that's completely down to them. If it's not available in the time period that they've booked with you, then they will have to return. They cannot go forward on the competencies if the placement isn't happy with them. So as I said, there might be some specific areas of practice that they need to improve on. I will set that up as an action plan, and then the student will complete that action plan. If, however, at that first stage, it is not resolved and you see no improvement, do not worry. A second meeting will be called where the Director of Early Childhood Studies, Charlotte Jones, will be present. And that's when we will sit around a table, perhaps online, or you might want to come onto our campus, or we might come to you. We're very flexible. We might be required to talk to the student and see why these actions aren't being performed at the level that we would expect. The final stage is if no improvements are met by the students, then they are going towards a fail, which we don't want to use the word very much, but because we would like to think that everybody that gets onto a degree in early childhood and has, you know, a number of years experience working with children and might already have a level 3 in some domain, we wouldn't like to think that they could fail, but they will not pass the GPC certificate at level 6 when they pick up their degree if they have failed the element of their placement. So in other words, they could be academically high flyers with extremely high percentages for the assignments they've handed in, but it is their placement practice that holds the key to them completing all of the graduate practitioner competencies. So I think I might have put your mind at rest there a little bit about any concerns you might have had. Contact me if you've got any questions. And then finally, we're on to our last appendix, Appendix 13. It is the final setting report. And this is when you sit down with the student in, again, an allocated time that they have booked with you. They haven't suddenly rushed by you in the corridor and said, I need to see you for 10 minutes after the children have gone home. They have got to book these meetings properly and professionally with you. And it is then when you just sign them off, it is quite a self-explanatory report, and it gives you the opportunity to pass or fail them over 7 key professional attributes. And it gives you an opportunity as well to make a comment. So I look forward greatly to working with you. Thank you again so much from the Warwick University Early Years team for taking our student on and agreeing to be that pivotal practice educator / mentor in the workplace for them. Thank you.